Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for our build review show. It is Tuesday, October 8th of 2024, and this is the show where I bring users' builds up live on stream, giving them personalized feedback and advice about things that I think they can do differently in their builds to help out and ultimately, help them to submit stronger lineups, have higher post-contest sim ROIs and contest flashbacks. So if you ever want to get signed up for the show, all you got to do, drop your DK username in the office hours channel in our Discord, and I can add you to the queue for the next show. We do the show Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. But with that said, we do have a couple people still left from the Sunday main slate to get to today. So let's get the screen up. First one is going to be Raf LP here. And let's go back to Sunday. And let's go to the main slate. All right. So let's let this load. And then let's jump over to the contest tab. So something pretty interesting just right off the bat here, right? 608 lineups total, 608 entries, and only $280 in entry fees. So just basically just hammering the low stakes, right? Just waiting for all of these dime times, hitting them super hard, letting them reopen and reopen and reopen, and just continuing to enter them probably throughout the week, right? You can start entering the dime times on like Wednesday, Thursday, and then check back Friday, wait for more to open, check back Saturday, wait for more to open, check back Sunday, wait for even more to open, right? So you can definitely get to a lot of these, which they're doing, and they're keeping their entry fees down, and getting their number of lineups up. So that's super cool to see. All right. So hammering low stakes, pretty solid balance. We see single entries and 3 maxes mixed in here. So this all looks good to me. So why don't we start? Let's try. Actually, let's not do the mini max. I think like this winnings thing over here is like a good indication of if stuff is acting funny or not. So I'm going to do the $1.20 max because we tried this yesterday and it did work. We did have to wait a little bit. We didn't have to wait forever for this to work. So I think that we have a pretty good shot here of loading this in a reasonable time frame. Ralph said entered 15 dime times to start the week and added 2 more on Sunday. So there are actually just a lot open right at the beginning of the week. All right. Jumping over to users. Got this contest loaded. Entered 20 lineups. Sorted by sim ROI. So good news. Very, very strong set of lineups, right? 72% sim ROI. Looks like they actually did decent as far as actual ROI as well. So that's cool. Highest sim ROIs are in like the 90 to 100 range here, but still like very, very close to the top range here with 72%. So like to see that. High average salary. 0 average dupes. 132 sim average score. You know, if you guys were on the show yesterday, we were talking about a sim average score range of like 130, like 135. Basically, the top players were somewhere within that range. And 132 falls right square in the middle there. So this looks really good. Notice that they did a number of original builds. So like a single entry 3 max build, a dime time, bigger 20 maxes, like the $1.20, $3.20. They did an MME. So like their 150 max for like the mini max. So breaking these all up is totally fine to do. And then they had different swaps for each of those sets. So making sure to late swap, that is great. So all in all, like what we're seeing here. Let's jump over to the dime time. All right. So minimum salary up to $49,500. I was thinking about this, and you know, I know our default's like $48,500. I've been using 49,000 myself. I've even considered going up to 49,500. Sometimes I think about this differently across different sites. Like sometimes pricing can be like softer on like one site versus like another. So you got to be aware of it. But pricing on DK is usually like pretty good. And we've been seeing, high average salary for like top sim ROIers. So I think it's fine to go up to 49.5. I think that's totally cool. Note from Ralph, I was hoping you would review the dime builds this time around, as it's the most lineups I'm playing, and I want to see if there's something I can learn from there for sure. So I think average salary decisions are good here. No filters, no rules, no lineup filters, using a number of aggregate metrics: average projection, minimum projection, average ownership, max ownership, average salary. I think this is all fine. I can see how each one of these can be useful. Maybe the only other thing I'd add here is average ROI, of the contest sim that you're using here. So that'd probably be like one thing I'd add. I'm sure you're, using these aggregate metrics with your uniques. So I like that. This is a good note for people who are playing a lot of the same type of contest. So like the way he has, I don't know, it's like 17 dime times 340. You can just use one contest sim for all of these and group them together and be like, hey, I'm going to treat these 17, 20 maxes as a group and get diversified across all of them, right? So like when the contest size is the same, when the payout structure is the same, when the like the percent of first, the percent entries paid, the field lineups, when you have multiple iterations of the same contest, you can just use one contest sim and group them together. I think that makes your lineups even better because now you're looking at it on a more of a portfolio level as opposed to just a single 20 max, right? So I think that's really good. No min or max exposures. Couple small adjustments to projections. Nothing crazy. Which I think is totally fine. We see like 5, 6, maybe like 10 to 20 projection adjustments. All of them seem, relatively minor. And I think that's totally cool. I'll do similar stuff. And basically you're just trying to push the builder in the direction that you want to go, as opposed to like forcing it or just like, okay, builder, what do you think about this instead? And like letting it kind of decide for you. That's a little bit more hands off. Some people won't like that because they know they want, X percentage of a player and this many lineups, whatever it is. But it's one way to do it. And Ralph said he did team total adjustments. So I think that's totally cool. However you want to get to those. But yeah, making the team total adjustments, not making any min or max exposures is something I definitely recommend if, you're willing to be that hands off. All right. So nothing in the quarterback slot. Nothing in defenses. Nothing in team stacks, game stacks. And being a little bit particular with their stack types, but I think this is okay. I think it's all right to be opinionated like this. I think one thing you can do, right, is maybe run a default build and basically compare the pool exposures from like your build to the default build and see if you're just like missing any that come up a ton. That could just be one like leak here, right? In case like, hey, I'm disregarding, QB plus 3s with one bring back and they're coming up, 5% of the time. Meanwhile, the QB plus 0s with 2 run backs are only coming up less than 1%. And I'm allowing those, right? So not really sure like where the, why the reasoning. I'm not questioning that, but I'm just saying, make sure you don't have any leaks, and you could do that just by checking default build and kind of cross-checking your stack type decisions here. So just one thought there. But other than that, really like what we're seeing from Raph. Think it is a very, very good approach all the way around from contest selection to build decisions and then late swap. So keep it up. Great work. All right. Next thing here is we're going to bring up our next person on the list, which is going to be John. So let's get John up on the screen and we will keep it rolling. And we're going to be doing Sunday main slate one more time. All right. We got John up on the screen here. Going to go back to the main slate on Sunday. And once this loads, we'll jump over to the contest tab. All right. So I think this contest selection is good, right? Starting with dime time, hitting the quarter, hitting the mini max, hitting the $3.20 max, because, you know, it's a pretty good contest, very high percent to first. This is similar to like putting like one entry in the milli, right? Something like that. So putting 5 in there. I think that's cool. You know, putting less than the max in the mini max, also good, right? It's better to stay within your bankroll, manage like the bankroll that you want to play for a slate, enter less than the max. You're just entering your best 60 here, not entering, you know, 61st through 150th best lineups. So that's all good. Only thing I'd recommend is, what I recommend, trying to mix in some single entries and 3 maxes, you know, play like the $1 single, play the $1 3 max. And at least those, right? You want to mix in like the $3, the $5. Those are also good contests to be playing as well. So try and get, you know, if you're playing like $50, right? Try and get somewhere between $10 to $15 in action in the single entries and 3 maxes, right? At least like 20 to 30%. So that's what I would be trying to do. All right. That was our only note there, but let's jump in here. Let's look at the quarter jukebox this time around. All right, let's give us a second to load. All right, looks like it loaded up here. Jump over to users. Close this. So Super John is our guy here. Enter 20 lineups, sort by sim ROI. So this is a different contest than we were viewing earlier. Just want to make that reminder here. So top sim ROIs are somewhere in like the 70-ish% range. John is at about 31% sim ROI. So this looks good, right? Strong start. See what else we could see. A little bit of room for improvement. That's okay. Average salary, 49.8. Uniqueness looks good. Same average score, about 127 here. This is a little low. You know, we do see one person at like 128, but that is like the only person below 130 and like the top 10 to 15 sim ROIers here. So trying to get that up a little bit can help. You know, 3 points sim average score could easily take John from like 31% sim ROI probably to like 50 plus. So let's all right, so let's let this load. And I think what we need to do is resort this. So let me resort this real quick. There is a lot going on in this build here, which is very, very interesting. We see 18 rules, lineup filter, player filters. So we're gonna have to dive deep here. All right, so let's start small things. Minimum salary up 500 here to 49,000. I think that's fine. completely X'd out the Patriots. Like, nope, I don't want to play any of you guys. Projection over 3 just to hide some players. I think that's fine. I talk about that. Let's go to lineup filters first before we dive into this 18 rule beast. Cash rate, 20 to 30%. Show lineups with cash rate greater than 20 and cash rate less than 30. This is a pretty interesting. Are you capping it at cash rate 30, right? Like if it cashes 31% of the time, you don't want to play it. That feels a little weird. So if you want to build in like this floor into your pool of like, hey, I want to play lineups that cash, about 20% of the time, I think that's fine. It is a way of managing risk. It is a way of, trying to play lineups with a little bit better floor. So I think it's okay, but I don't know why you would cap it. So if you want to like explain that to me in the Discord or something, that's cool. We could start a conversation there. But my recommendation here off the bat would be not to cap this. All right, let's go over to rules. So it looks like there's a rule for just about every team here. Most teams, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There's 20 teams on the slate. They X'd out the Patriots. So this is interesting. So don't use players against opposing defense. Fine. No problems there. I want to see what some of these group rules look like. Use no more than one Hubbard or Deontay Johnson. Let's check the Rams. Use no more than one like pass catcher from the Rams. Use no more than one. So these are a little interesting. I don't know what research led you to these, so I don't want to critique that. But this goes back to like something else that we talk about regularly, which is like, if you're making rules like this, you should be tracking them and making sure that you are right more than you are wrong. So basically what I would do is I would probably do something where I write this down. So like, let's go to Baltimore, for example. I have this rule, they have this rule, use no more than one, likely Bateman, Andrews. I would probably write these 3 players down in an Excel sheet. I would write down their average projections, and then I would write down my rules. So like, use no more than one, this group of 3 players. And then I would go and look at what their projection was and then what their actual score was and be like, did only one of them do well, or did more than one of them do well? And then if more than one did well, then I would probably grade that as like a loss. And then if only one did well, or even 0, I would grade that as a win. So here, I think Likely and Bateman both scored touchdowns, and I think they actually did okay. So I would grade this one as a loss, right? But then you could probably go to like a different one. We go to like Buffalo or something like that. And then it says use one of Keon Coleman, Samuel Hollins. And I'm pretty sure Samuel and Hollins didn't do much. And I think Keon Coleman had a touchdown. So then maybe like this is a win, right? But you should be tracking that. And then basically saying, if you're doing one for like almost every team every week and you've done it for 5 weeks, you're going to have a pretty good idea of like, am I right more than 50% of the time? Am I wrong more than 50% of the time? Am I at exactly like 50%? And am I like wasting my time? So some insight there could help you. And then depending on the grading here, that can lead you to like learn other things about your process and like maybe changes you want to make or something like that. So I would definitely be doing that post slate analysis for sure. All right. So we see a number of minimax exposures here. I'm just looking at some of these. You know, again, I would be grading these like 100%. And I'm analyzing some of them as we go here. Some of them are like pretty aggressive. So I would just be very sure that like you're right more than you're wrong. So just be careful with these, you know, make sure your research is solid and make sure that, you know, you're coming from a good place that like you could explain to somebody why you made this change and, you know, oh, I've been right, you know, 60% of the time through like 5 weeks here. So that's what I would say. All right, let's keep going. QB stacks, nothing. It looks like most of their stuff was done in the all tab. Defense, nothing. Team stacks, nothing. Particular with their stack exposures, not playing anything above a QB +2 with 2 bringbacks. I did like the idea that we talked about earlier for Raf, where it was like run a default build and see if there are stack types that are coming up a lot, like, you know, 5 to 10% of the time that you are specifically excluding, and make sure that you just want to exclude those. So you're being very particular and you want to make sure that you don't have any leaks and you're not missing something that maybe you would be okay playing anyways there. So that's what I would be saying, or that's what I would be doing to verify that these stack exposures make sense. All right. Other than that, those are going to be my big takeaways here. So a lot of, you know, a lot of objective result analysis, you know, recommendations here. And I think that's like super important, right? Because, you know, you want to make sure you're helping yourself more than hurting yourself. And that's a really big thing, right? So do that and try and be, you know, as honest with yourself as possible. But those are my big takeaways here. So good stuff, John. All right. That was our last person for today. So appreciate everybody tuning in. I will be right back here tomorrow to do this show again at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then we have office hours at 4. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Good luck today in NHL and MLB. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Take care. Bye.